Talking with the New York Times' David Fahrenthold, who shares a byline on this news story. The headline, "Struggling with Errors, DOGE Deletes Billions More from List of Savings." The subheadline reads, "For the second time in a week, Elon Musk's government overhaul effort updated its wall of receipts to remove mistakes that inflated its success." I mean, you and your colleagues have done such incredible reporting on this, showing many of the mistakes and false numbers that this DOGE team have posted on their so-called wall of receipts, overstating savings, claiming an $8 billion savings instead of $8 million. Your latest reporting involves contracts DOGE was claiming credit for cutting, but some were actually canceled long before Trump's first term even began, as far back as 2005. Can you walk us through some of what you've learned?
Yeah, what we're talking about is what DOGE calls its wall of receipts. Basically, it's a list of contracts that it's claiming credit for having cut and the savings it says it achieved by cutting them. It's really the only place where they show their work at all. The only time they ever show us how they get to the numbers they claim for the savings. So you can go down this list and you can see the details of these contracts. And you said in two of the cases they were counting as canceled two contracts that actually just ended on their own when George W. Bush was president, from 2005 and 2006. And each of those contracts, they claimed a $53 million savings now. So that's the kind of error we're finding. It's not rocket science. You could click literally on a link and see that this was 20 years old.
Now, is that, I mean, if you can find that out, how long did it take you to find that out? Is it a simple mistake on their part, or is it deceptive?
Well, what it is part of a pattern, right? We're looking in these, this is, I said, the one place where you can see DOGE show its work. And we're looking in there to see, are they competent? Do they know what they're doing? When they're looking at government contracts, which again, that's the job they're out there to do, is to change the government, to overhaul it, to make it efficient. Do they understand the government itself and how it works? And the errors we're finding them making, I mean, you mentioned some of them, confusing millions with billions, triple counting the same contract, counting contracts as canceled that had actually been canceled long before. Those aren't like difficult things to spot. And it speaks to sort of a carelessness or just a lack of familiarity with the government that they're now basically in charge of.
And has there been any explanation from the White House or DOGE as to why they got this stuff so wrong?
The barest of explanations. What they've said is, well, these numbers came from the agencies themselves. Federal agencies sent us these numbers. But again, like, DOGE is supposed to be in charge here. And the errors they're making seems like they didn't look at these things at all or think about them. You mentioned one earlier where they confused billions with millions. That's not a mistake that anyone should have made, because what they said was that ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, had saved $8 billion by cutting one contract. Well, if you think about that for 1 second, $8 billion is ICE's entire budget. So how could you ever thought they gave their entire budget to one vendor? It's that kind of mistake that seems like they're not really paying attention.
And when after your reporting, it seems like they just remove the errors. They don't really, hold a press conference and say, oh yeah, we made a mistake on this. Here's where we were wrong. This is how we made this mistake.
No, this is the second time now that they've just updated the website to delete most of the largest cuts that they claimed.
These were the biggest cuts that they were claiming turned out to be false, or reported multiple times.
Yeah, last week they cut the top 5 cuts they were claiming. Just last night they cut 5 of the top 7 cuts they were claiming. So these aren't little things with a few dollars. These are billions and billions of dollars that just vanish off their website, and again, with no explanation.
And yet they are claiming to be incredibly transparent at every turn. I mean, they're saying that they are the most transparent.
Yes. So what they've done is they've claimed this really big number. They say now they've saved $105 billion. But only a little bit of that is sort of itemized in detail. That's the part that I've been looking at. About $10 billion is, they say, okay, here are the receipts. Here's what we've cut. And again, that's the only place we can really see if they know what they're doing. And when you look at that, you find these huge problems, which then they just delete, to the point that the amount of savings they're counting from the contracts being canceled has actually shrunk from $16 billion to $9 billion just in the last couple of weeks.